with an intern. Was in touch with an intern, Marine Simmons, who was working on reparations, and that's kind of how it started for them. And what happened is they crafted, Dr. Shirley Weber introduced a bill, AB 3121, which created the California Reparations Task Force, which ran for 2 years. And CJEC was very instrumental in crafting that final language to target it, as we like to call ourselves now, Black American Freemen, but they wanted to make sure that this body of work targeted African Americans who were descendants of those who were enslaved in the U.S. under this horrific system of chattel slavery. And so they put that final word in there. And for me, what happened, I was kind of seeing the word reparations online. Okay, well, I know about 40 acres in the mill. I knew about that. And then I had to leave the Bay Area. Well, not the Bay Area. I had to leave my home. I had to go down to LA for several weeks for a medical emergency with my mom. And so during that time period, I was not online. But when I came back, I started seeing something about CJEC. Okay, who is that? And then I started seeing something about AB 3121. Okay, you could put a gun to my head. I didn't even know what AB was. And I say that because anybody if I can join and try to get politicized at any time, everybody can start where they are. And that's what I started at. I said, okay, what is AB? So I started looking at it. And then, I started seeing something about the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California was holding some kind of in-service information down in Sacramento. So I went, and I've been following them ever since. I was following CJEC in Sacramento so heavily till people thought that I lived in Sacramento, but I have never lived in Sacramento. I am in Fairfield. And with that being said, the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California is comprised of 5 organizations statewide. One, the organization that I'm in is the American Redress Coalition of California Bay Area, ARC Bay Area. And we also have ARC Sacramento. We have the Lineage Equity and Advancement Project out of Los Angeles. Also, we have the California Black Lineage Society from the Inland Empire. And we have our media team, which is In the Mass Media Group out of Sacramento. And so that's kind of where we are right now. And we followed the task force. So I did come in. The bill AB 2121 was signed into law September 30th, 2020, went into effect the next year. It ran for 2 years, and I'm happy to say I was one of the ones who was able to follow the task force all over California. Didn't miss a meeting, whether it was in person or online. Very honored to be selected as one of the 7 anchor orgs so we can go out to the community and raise awareness about California. And with that being said, with CJEC, our mission is to achieve reparations and reparative justice for Black American freemen in California. And we have 2 main objectives. One is to raise awareness, and the other is to pass strong legislative reparations bills. That is our current mission. And we do not waver from that. And we stand 10 toes down on that. So, if anybody have any questions,
that was amazing. I do have some questions for you, Miss Darlene. So you
yes.
talked about how you got involved in the reparations movement, and about what year was that?
Okay, it was 2021 because I was not involved in CJEC during the signing of AB 3121, which was September 20, and it came into law the next year. So that's when I just started kind of seeing it online.
Okay, so my question is, from when you started in 21 till now in 25,
Mhm.
What do you think about the movement? What do you think about where we are right now? Do you think we would have gotten here? Do you think we would have been further? Like, what do you think about this moment right now?
Now, well, now you've opening a can of worms that we were going to talk about. Could we have gotten further if we had not been betrayed last year, August 31st, 2024? Of course. But, we continue on. We're not going to stop. They have not, definitely have not heard the end of us. No matter what they do, they're going to have to reconcile in with the grassroots movement. you know there's some things that we're going to talk about tonight, because we know that they're listening, because they've made some changes on their bills, so we know they're listening, but they have not listened further enough. They have not, bowed down completely to their constituents in the community, and we just have to keep going. Oops, sorry. So with
Okay.
that.
Um, so I love that you said we have to keep going. I think that that is the truest statement. Even
Mhm,
if we don't know exactly what to do, we have to keep going.
mhm.
So can we talk a little bit about the bills right now and what's going on? You could start with AB7 or A, is that what it is? AB7 or SB 437 or SB 518 or SB 515 if you'd like.
Okay, well, let's start with SB 518, because that is the one that CJAC is highly championed, and we helped write it in a different form. You can talk about SB 515 without speaking about SB 189, which was a trailer bill. And what that does, SB 189, what it did is open up the state employees, and now they are able to, when they get hired on the HR firm, they can designate who they are. Black Americans have always been in that umbrella, African American. I just want to point out, personally for myself, I've never used the term. I mean, I only say the term when I have to read it, but I never considered myself an African American. I was colored, I was Negro, and then I was Black. I just stayed there. And now I have also added American Freedmen to that, because that is our political status. So, so when you get hired, and it's been a while since I've been at work or even filled out a HR form. I don't even remember what it was like back in my day. I just don't. But I guess now, when people, before SB, the trailer bill, SB 189, it was just, you check this one box, African American, I guess. I don't even remember. If someone can remind me of that, I just don't remember. Um, and so what that did is opening up to our state employees. So now they have an option, to either uh, they can be either, they want to consider themselves Caribbean blacks or other blacks, or they don't have to put anything. But now we can say that we are Black Americans who are descendants. And so that is a big, big win for us, because like Chris says, who is the lead organizer of CJ, if you don't see us, how can you serve us? So that is really important. And so that's what SB 515 does. It expands in that area. And as of 9/22, it has been enrolled and has been presented to the governor for his signature. So that's what, in the past, the assembly 61-15. So that was great. And it's opening it up to 538 California cities and counties. So that is a big, big win for us. So we just want to make sure that the governor does the right thing on that and sign it, because we are who we are, so that. And which one
And
would you like?
can I get just a little bit of clarity? SB 189 is the companion bill for 518, and that
No,
is
SB 189 was a trailer bill.
A trailer bill, excuse me.
a trailer bill that came out let me see what year was that. What is this year? It's 20. So it was 2024, and it
Mhm.
came into effect this year where now the state employees can now have a designation. And
Okay, and
that one,
SB
and
15 is at the city level. SB
state, yes,
515.
yes, and that was authored by Senator Laura Richardson.
And both of these are disaggregation bills.
Yes, it is. So
Okay.
it gives our employees a chance to say, and it helps us, if you think about it, they can look at, how many universities are being hired, you know, programs that can target specifically Black American freemen. So it's very important
Hmm.
that we be able to distinguish who we are.
Hmm.
We get to decide.
I think that's amazing. I totally agree.
Mhm.
Would you like to talk about the other bills?
Yes, which one? Well, we could talk about SB 437.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, as you know, is a study bill. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
calling it. And it's kicking our reparations down the road. And money has been given to the CSU to conduct a study. And that bill, along with SB 518, is authored by the chair, Dr. Keela Weber Pearson.
Mm-hmm.
And she says always she tries to conflate the language of the reparations task force final report, saying because they didn't actually say how to do it. This is why we got to kick that can down the road and have an additional study. Well, we don't
Mm-hmm.
need an additional study, especially when you talk about, is they don't even have to really come up with anything to 2030. And several of the people that I know, they will be seniors by then. You know, we have seniors now, including myself. We already know who we are. That is not what the Reparation Task Force final report stated. You know,
Okay, so in your opinion, why are they putting this bill up if it is to stall reparations? What is their motive?
well, if you saw any of the hearings, which I was fortunate to be able to go up to Sacramento, Dr. Akila Weber Pearson, she kept saying, well, I don't know how to find out who I am, but we do know that that was not the truth because she does. If her mother knows who she is, can trace her lineage, so does Akila Weber Pearson. So for me, it's just a money grab. I'm just going to call it how I see it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it is a money grab because getting a little ahead of myself, if we could just step back a little bit, when former Senator Stephen Bradford um, introduced Bill SB 1403, um, during that year, there was $12 million that was set aside for reparations implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I remember.
Yes, and that's what happened. And we all know that SB 1050, which was also authored by him, which was an eminent domain portion, for some reason that bill was heard. It went through the Senate, and then it came to the Assembly floor. That bill was passed and went through.
Mm-hmm.
But SB 1403 and SB 1331, and let me make clear, if SB 1331 was a vehicle to house any additional monies that would be in place to have reparations. Those two bills, as you know, did not even go to the floor. They passed the Senate, they passed the Assembly, but then our California Black legislators decided not to bring the bills up. And so you were there on August 31st. Several people in here were there on that day. And
Yes.
before, those bills did not go up. It was their decision because what happened, as we all know, Governor Newsom, he wanted to make some changes. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted some amendments, and Senator Bradford, former Senator Bradford, said no, and that was part of the problem. And unfortunately, we was up there till midnight the last day, and those bills did not get brought up to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened if you were looking at those amendments that Governor Newsom's office wanted to have, they almost mirror SB 437, which he
Mm.
again wanted to take to need another study. I mean, why is we've been here for over 400 years? How are you going to tell us we don't know who we are?
Yeah.
We know who we are. I
Yeah, it
would
was
think
it was it was devastating.
it was devastating. I could bet you everybody in this chat knows how to trace their lineage or have a good idea. It's not a difficult thing. Oh, sure, you're going to have some few people that's going to have some problems. That's a very small issue. Like I have a good friend of mine who had a closed adoption. She wasn't even sure that her father who raised her was biologically her father, but he did the right thing and took her in. Now, someone like that, yeah, there may be an issue.
Right.
That's one person. So to deny a group of people their rights and what's due them because, a small percentage of people don't can't may have a small problem. But that's why you bring in the experts. That's what they're there for. You don't hold up everybody else.
So
So,
now that Newsom is running or has this special election going on, but he basically denied our reparations, denied tangible reparations bills, real solutions for Black Californians. What is, what do you feel that we should do as far as our vote as Black Californians?
well, I'm only going to speak for myself. I don't quite, I know he's having this special election. I will say this. I heard that it was costing up to $250 million. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, but you deny us our reparations bill. And if we can just go step back a minute, because for some reason, SB 1050 did pass last year. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Assembly Member Tina McKenna took it to the floor for Senator Bradford. But he vetoed that because I'm a vetoer because, we don't have an agency. Uh, but
Right.
you did, yeah, right. So
Yeah.
you didn't,
But we
we
don't
didn't
have the
get to,
agency because you killed our bills.
you killed our bills. So, so it's just more, it's amazing to me. And I'm not going to tell Black folks what to do. I personally am not a champion nor a fan of 50. That's personally but I'll let people, I always believe that there's one person, one vote.
Right.
And I'm just going to stick with that. So, as far as Newsom is concerned, uh, I think Carolyn has a question.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Carolyn.
Hi, ladies, and everyone here. I wanted to add something to that. When those bills were killed, they were not only killed, it was done really sneakily, if you recall, how
Yes, ma'am, I do.
yeah, they asked Assembly member, I can't say her name. Anyway, she Aguilera, um,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
she's from the Latino caucus.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
they asked someone that wasn't even from our lineage and had nothing to do with our bills and actually probably didn't want us to have it anyway to kill our bills, and they gladly did that. What they did that day was allow the Latino caucus members to put our reparations bills in the trash. That is exactly what happened. And that's why it's so disgusting. Um, and that we just have to keep calling them out, and for them to have the audacity to be upset with us for being upset about what they did and telling, basically they don't want us talking about it, right?
Yes, and also, Carolyn, I would say this about that with Curry, the ET and media team has reached out to her several times and wanted to know who told you to kill the Bills. And
Mhm.
she says, well, go back to the author. So she's not holding any responsibility either. They used her face. So they can't say, oh, a black person, but to me, it was the CLBC. They did it. And,
That's low
you know,
down. That is
yes,
so low down.
yes. So,
But I wanted everyone to like remember that little part too. That big, huge part is that they and even if she did it on her own, why didn't they protest it? The caucus didn't even protest it. So
mhm, mhm.
it's obvious it was sabotage.
No, it's obvious, and we have to say that the CLBC is carrying the governor's water because, like I said, he brought down these amendments he wanted former Senator Bradford to add to his bill, SB 1403. He would not. But as I say, you could almost SB 437 is almost a complete mirror of it. So to me, it was like this plan they had going on all along. We could talk about, the CSUs needing money, but what is that? I mean, they take our little money when other things that they funding have millions of dollars on it, but they wanted to take our $6 million and add it to their budget. So I will say before you ask me, do I think that he's probably going to sign it? I think he's going to sign it. I mean, it's his bill. Why wouldn't he sign it? Um, but SB 437 was enrolled and presented to the governor on 9/17. So it's on his desk. Um, so we'll just have to wait and see, you know.
Yes, it's unfortunate through this process. I've definitely come to the conclusion that reparations is to be used and to be exploited for the needs of the politicians. They do not look at it how we look at it. They do not looking at it as far as helping the people who are most in need. So that is definitely something that we have to defeat, that we're just constantly trying to defeat that mindset. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. And as you say, we have to defeat it. It's just sometimes, if you need to take back away from it for a couple of days, because sometimes I do, because it gets, the how we're being treated, it gets to you, So I kind
yes.
of back away, and
Yeah.
then I come back, maybe for a day, just anything, because we know what they're doing to us, but they can champion everyone else. But even that day on the 31st, we were there till midnight, and they locked us out of the assembly. We had been there all week. Matter of fact, I had been there all year. So let's say with that, I and Kim Mins and Chris, we did not miss a hearing through the Senate, through the assembly. There was no reason for our bills not to uh, be brought to the floor. And I could have lived with the fact if Newsom vetoed it, but you didn't even allow it to get that far. It was a
Yeah.
betrayal.
Reparations is going to be used like a carrot for his presidential run. That's why I think, me personally, I'm not I'm a political analyst on my own, but I don't get a check for it. But from what I can see, it's going to be continued to get used and exploited. And as you mentioned before, that essentially 437 and 518, that's what the amendments that he wanted to make. So,
Well, specifically, no,
or
SB
specifically
437.
437, okay.
Yes. Mhm.
So what is the plan? Um, Once these bills are implemented, where does that leave the grassroots reparationists?
You know where it leaves us? It leaves us to tomorrow to fight another day, for one thing. And at the time of this, I'm not at the session has closed and it will be opening up, I believe, is going to be again the early part of December, and we will be working to bring some other bills forward, because we're not championing these bills anyway. So, but a lot of people are. And I just wanted to say again, when I talk about them listening to us, if we just, not so much SB 437, but if we go back to, if we talk about SB 518, which is the bureau that they set up in lieu of our SB 1403, they have listened to us, because when they first started, they didn't have a beginning nor an end date. Number two, they housed it in the DOJ. That's been removed. It's now housed in the Civil Rights Division.
Mhm.
So someone had asked me, well, since they took it out of the DOJ, why can't you, agree with them? For one thing, why would we want to work with somebody to even have the audacity to put it in the DOJ in the first place? My opinion. And then number two, one of the things that they still say is for other communities. It is not only for the American freemen. So
Mm.
you have a bill for a bureau that anybody, other communities can go and stake a claim.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
what we're supposed to be fighting against. That's what happened to the last bureau.
and the rationale behind that is that in the 1,100-page final report from the task force, in the first beginning chapters, they do talk about other communities which have been harmed in California, but nowhere does it say that our office is to help them. Nowhere does that say that.
Right. Yeah, that's really crazy. Um, what are your thoughts about people running for office? Are you planning on running for office to implement
Absolutely not.
to implement reparations bills?
No, absolutely not. It's, personally, just for myself, I believe in, this is myself, I believe in term and age limits. To me, I've reached that age limit. I'm done. But do I encourage people? I mean, we have Carolyn here, and we know she's running. Yes, I encourage everyone to, if we need to start at the local level, get our young people involved and have them run, even if to start at the local level. But when I say start, but we have to make sure that our young Black American freemen or any other freemen are on checking for us. So many times when we get in these places, we kind of bow down to the pressure, you know, of checking for everybody else. It's almost like you can't even talk about what you want to do for Black American freemen and the Browns and the immigrants. Why do we always have to have an and?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. Yes, I do believe we should run. I would support anyone who is 100% 10 toes down for Black American freemen. Yes, run, run, run.
Hmm.
Now, as far as seniors, I am a senior. I'm not, I believe this is just me, aged in term limits. That's just my personal opinion. But that doesn't mean that we don't have something to offer, that we can sit on those community board meetings and stuff and, let your voices heard. Just like, I want to thank everybody who came out in support when we was trying to check the budget hearings and let them know that, we need a carve out for our Black American seniors. They have been here the longest, they have suffered the longest. This is what we want to see. And I'm not here to talk about AB7 because that's actually not a bill that CJ championed. But recently I was up at the Capitol and I did speak with, we were in Isaac Bryan's office, and I'm like, well, why such a low hanging fruit? You know what I'm saying? This is preference. If you wanted to show us how you felt about us, I didn't see any of you in that budget hearing checking for our seniors. None
Hmm.
of them, except the ones that were on the committee. You know, everybody doesn't want to go to college.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm not saying if you're going to do something, do exactly what the task force recommended,
Yeah.
free tuition.
I,
That is what they recommended, not
yes.
may.
Yes. I completely agree. And you had mentioned also about the young people. I personally, I'm starting to, especially in the wake of all this things that are happening politically in our country. I really want to think it'll be great to focus on the youth, focus on getting this message to the youth. Um, Also, because we are having a little gridlock with the politicians. Um, what do you think about that and delivering the message to people? And
Oh,
young?
absolutely, absolutely. Because like I said, when I first saw AB, okay, put a gun to my head. I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
You know, so why do you have to wait till someone's a senior citizen? They don't even know what AB means, which is, assembly bill. This is, they may not be getting it in the school that they're in, I don't know, but this is where we can come in and focus and let our young people understand how the civics of this California actually works. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? Let them know how a bill is processed, what you have to do.
mhm,
And this is something that our youth is missing. So it's really, really important. I understand some of the things that you're doing, Yasmin, with the BSU part. I think it's excellent. And this is where it has to start.
mhm. Yeah, I think that investing a few years
Mm-hmm.
in that,
Mm-hmm.
just giving that message to the young people, I think they're ready. Like I heard a song the other day where the young lady said she's won her reparations. I was like, oh, they ready out here. So I think that that is kind of like definitely a big direction that we need to turn in. um Miss Darlene, at the beginning of our interview, you kind of jumped ahead of me. So I want to go back and ask a question that I want to ask people during this series. And that is, tell us about your family and how they got to California.
Okay. I love my story. Okay.
Every
Uh,
Freeman does. A Freeman
that,
love
yes,
telling where
yes,
they from,
yes,
okay?
yes. Yes, I have been able, and this was like years before I even got into the reparations space. This is years before. I have a first cousin. His name is Ken Estes. Let me, correct myself. Emmy Award actor, Mr. Kim Estes. He did our study years ago, and we have been able to trace our lineage back to Covington, Louisiana in 1836 from my great great grandmother. And you always hear the story. Do you hear the stories about, oh, why should we pay for reparations for slavery? There's Black people who owned slaves. Yes, there were. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it was that free person who purchased their slave. My great great grandmother purchased her husband, who was a slave. And it has been documented in a book called The Covetons of Louisiana. We are the Rose family, and there's some of us that are still there. And what happened, they had one son. That son had six children. That sixth child was born in Mississippi, my grandmother, in 1904. She migrated to California in, let's see, 1918, where she had her eight children, and my mother being the fifth. And my mother is 91, and there's one other surviving auntie. She is currently 96. So that's how I came. I was born in Los Angeles, but my family came to San Francisco in 1962. So, okay, I consider myself a San Franciscan. I don't, I'm in LA all the time because I go back. My mom's still there, but consider myself a San Franciscan. I wanted, when I left San Francisco for a while, I wanted to go back, but I was priced out. So I wasn't able to return to the city that I loved. But that's how I'm here today. Mhm.
Okay, that's a You know, it's always a great thing to hear where the people are from. And
Mm-hmm.
I really want everyone to just get to know the reparationists that we're going to talk with in this series. So thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything that they would like to add?
Oh, I have a question. This is Bernice, to the beautiful lady. Um, the SB 515, you said that was for state employees who can
No, no,
now,
SB
mhm.
437. That
Oh,
is for
SB,
the
mhm,
city employees, cities,
SB
city and counties.
437.
Did you say SB 437 or SB 515?
I said SB 515. I just wanted to get clarity on what was going on with that. For what employees, SB 515. Is that for state employees who can now say
Well,
on their
SB
application
5
that they're,
515
go
is
ahead.
for cities. Now the trailer bill, SB 189,
Oh,
is for
That's
the
for state.
2.5 state employees. That's a
oh, okay.
separate bill. SB 189 was a trailer bill.
And that's
Oh, okay.
already passed. It's
That's
already
already
passed and it's
passed
already
and
in
it was
law.
signed into law and it's been in effect this year.
And now
Went into effect.
SB 515 is waiting to be signed by the governor.
It is engrossed and
Okay.
waiting for his signature. Yes, and that
Okay.
is for cities and counties employees.
And because the CLBC authored these bills, he's pretty much going to sign them. And the bills that we championed, he didn't want to sign.
And I just want to
Hmm.
make a point about SB 515. Now, that was not part of the CLBC's priority package. It was not. That was separate.
Oh,
That was separate. That was authored by newcomer, uh, Senator Laura Richardson.
okay.
Okay. So that wasn't part of the package.
Is she not in the CLBC?
She is in the CLBC, but this was a separate bill. You know, if you remember, the CLBC came out in February. You know, they don't even call them reparations now, although if you print the bills and look at it, it says reparation, but it was part of their repair package. Okay. That was not. That was her separate bill.
Okay.
Hmm.
Any more? Is that okay for you, Miss Bernice? Did that answer your
That's fine. But
question?
when will that open up to for all employment? I mean, I'm not a city employee or a state, you know.
Oh, you know what?
I would love to see that on my applications when I apply.
Wouldn't that be great? You know, but
Hmm.
we're looking as far as the grassroots, we're looking to expand. So I don't know what that expansion looks like. I know that Senator Laura Richardson is still, you know, working on the expansion of that. So I would just have to say, stay tuned. You know, so, you know, like I said, at first it started with the
Yeah.
trailer bill SB 189 for the state employees. Now SB 515 would be for cities and counties. And a little tidbit about that bill, um, it's going to cost up to more than $150,000 one time,
Mm.
and it's really just to change the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and
Okay.
once that's changed, that's it. So, and even if the smaller communities, you know, they can actually make the changes and then send their reimbursement to the state to get their monies back. You know, it's just changing the forms. And it's like Chris always says, if you don't see us, how can you serve us?
Yes. I think that,
Okay.
some people, when they see this, just a little feedback, um, to, extra little feedback. When some people see this classification, Miss Bernice, you mentioned that you'll be happy to see this designation on your forms. Some people are
Hmm.
not quite as happy to see the designation on the forms. They don't
Really.
understand who did it, or like they're a little skeptical.
Mm.
So it's also kind of gonna be our duty to kind of like bust up that skepticism, let them know that no, you need
An
to
identity.
check off on this box so that we can be counted, so we can get resources for our group, data for our group,
Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So some people still need a little bit more information so they can understand that it's not like a government conspiracy against you.
Well, you know, that's part of the whole, African American thing, they group us all, So, I mean, I do understand exactly what you're saying, and that's where, the grassroots come in, continuing education. But we have just been said, oh, we're all the same, but we're not the same. I mean, I'm not into hip hop or whatever, Kendrick Lamar, but I did like that song. We are just not the same, and it's all right to say that we're not. Everybody else, I mean, the API, I mean, I don't even know how many designations they have. That's, so I'm just saying, so why not us?
Yes, ma'am. I think that that's what's up. Does anybody else have any questions for Miss Darlene? Now is your time. Well, I can't really say now is your time. Miss Darlene is always there to speak with you and to, guide you like she's guided me. So I can't say that now's the time. But if anybody has any questions, that would be cool. If not, we are gonna go ahead and wrap this puppy up.
But I do have one thing I want to talk about. I want to
Sure.
encourage everyone to go to CJ's YouTube page. And Chris Lawson just did a episode last week on follow the money. He talks about what happens to that happened to that original $12 million that was set aside for reparation implementation in the 2024 budget. What they did, and he does such an excellent job, so I'm just going to try to paraphrase it a little bit. What he did was let us know that they took that $12 million, they repealed it, and they split it into $6 million going to the CSU for their study, which we don't need, a waste of money. The other $6 million is going to the Tides Foundation so they can have continuing education about reparations. But I don't really know a lot about Tides, but I will say this: they have not been in the forefront of this reparations movement. They have not, and so they're getting an additional 6 million, and also 500,000 of that initial $12 million was designated for a plaque for the apology that California made an apology to slavery. We've been at the Capitol. We have not seen that plaque, so we don't know where it was. But Governor Newsom did sign that bill, and also in another trailer bill, they put an additional $6 million into SB 518, which is the bureau. So we're talking about $18 million that we as grassroots are not going to see. Not giving any direct payments to our seniors, number one, you know. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a senior, but yeah, I am. But what I'm saying is that there's no reparations without a check, you know.
Right. And
None.
$18 million being put in the hands of everybody else. That means other people are gonna get hired. You mentioned the Tides Foundation. That's not a Freedman Foundation.
No,
So that
no, it's
means it's
not.
a whole bunch of other people that's gonna get a check instead of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yet these same people are against cash payments. They're about
Exactly.
giving their people a check, not us. And so it is unfortunate. Are there any calls to action from CJEC at this point, or should we look out for some?
No, there are definitely calls and actions if you let me drop their CJX link in there. You can go there, and not only are they call it actions, how you can get involved, what we've been doing, the donation, and all that is there. And I'm going to drop that in the link. Okay, that I see you had that in there. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
also if we can visit CJEC official,
Okay.
and it shows everything that you could do, our calls to action and everything. And also sign up to receive the newsletter, which is now when you go into the website, it's automatically there. So it's for to help guide everyone um, to what we need and what we're doing out here. So I just want to encourage everyone to go there and look at it and take a little time, navigate it and see what you want, reach out, ask questions. Everyone is here to answer. um, Follow us on IG, Facebook, YouTube, as you put in there, and specifically watch that show with Chris talking about following the money. He did an excellent job with it. And you just can't get enough of this information. And as far as if you have any young people, this is where you could have them start. I mean, they are so technologically savvy. So, I mean, they would have no problem at all navigating this site and understanding. So, and then one thing I will say personally about being in this reparation space, not everyone, but a lot of us seniors are, we suffer with, you know, digital divide. CJEC and being in this space has forced me to face my fear with it. And so I'm just so thankful to that and everyone who has supported me, with Arc Bay area and how they supported me, especially Josiah. He'll just look at me and tell me to do it. I really want you to do it, but he'll just force me. So it has allowed me to, gain some insight and advance myself. And I'm just so fortunate for that. I mean, so not only am I understanding about reparations and fighting for our people, but also, I'm combating this, I'm knocking it down that digital divide step by step. It's almost each day I do something to do it. And so I'm just so thankful for that. And this is a
Well,
place you could send the young people to get them to start
yes.
understanding what's going on here.
Yes.
Hmm.
I'm so grateful for you, Miss Darlene, because you are, advocating for your group. That's what's up. We all have to do that. We'll all be, as we go through the levels of life, we'll all be advocating. I'm like a midlife advocator. I'm advocating for the midlife. I'm advocating for a few people groups,
Right.
so but definitely Friedman is my priority. But I just want to thank you. You are always a shining light. You're also always impeccably dressed. Your hair is lovely. Your skin is lovely. You are just a wonderful role model. So
Oh, thank
keep
you. Thank
doing that. Keep always being dope. You're just super dope. We love that. We talked about Asada Shakur when we first
Yes.
started. You definitely implement that spirit, that fierceness, and the timeless beauty. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, thank
Miss
you.
Raphael has a question.
Oh, please.
Thank you so much. I do have a question for you, Darlene.
Yes.
I have seen you on many occasions interacting with community and engaging people. And I was hoping to get some words of advice from you in my most recent trip to Greenville, Mississippi,
Mhm.
in speaking with a lot of the folks there, and even when I'm in Chicago. So many folks, as that are seniors, our age and older, they seem to be so they're so harmed by the
Mhm.
trauma they've been through that when
Mhm.
I try to engage, I get a lot of them that are almost a been there, done that type of mentality, and they don't
Mhm.
want to revisit it. They were participative in their own ways to try to get movements to go forward, and they were disenfranchised and
Yes.
disappointed. And
Mhm.
I really struggle with trying to speak with them and tell them we're closer now than we've ever been and try to extend some hope, but also not disrespect them in recognizing what they've been through and the trauma and the disappointment. So I'm kind of struggling with that tightrope. And I wonder
Mm.
if you have any go-to comments that you would say, anything that has been particularly successful for you engaging the older Black Americans. Thank you.
That is such a great question because since I am also an older Black American, and I think it depends on where they came from because I can find some seniors closer to my age who, and I'm 69, so I'm having a milestone next year. So, but they have, like you said, Rick, yeah, they've seen so much and they're tired. But then I find a couple of them that, they're still ready to go. They still have a little. So whatever you say, encourage them, you tell them, look at me, I'm that same person. I am you. That's kind of how it started with, once you see my hair, um, I am them. And I let them know that my last breath, um, and one of the things they say, oh, I'm going to die. And that is a reality. I can't ever say that it's not a reality that they may die before they receive anything. And that is in reality, we all may, especially the way that they're acting on us now. But I tell them, you just can't think like that. Not only are you doing it for yourself, but you have your children, their children, and then your greats. You don't want the great grace to continue to have to fight for this. So if they could even find that little encouragement that they're doing it for their children. And I was had the opportunity to go to San Francisco yesterday and to sit in with Mo, our friend from San Francisco, who is in her 40s, but she championed for the seniors in San Francisco, and she's holding her third annual Where Your People From genealogy for as a resistance. And most of the people there were seniors, but they were very happy to hear her speak about how their genealogy and tracing their lineage can help them. I think if they even knew that much, if they could even start there, it'll give them something to look forward to. And a lot of them said, "Oh, I just want to pass this information down to my children, to my grandchildren." That could just be a start. But not only is she teaching them about their genealogy, she's empowering them as seniors, as Black folk peers, especially in San Francisco, where they're down to 3%, uh, to fight for themselves, to advocate for themselves. So you just have to look at what group you're talking to and just kind of read the room, because when I'm in there, I'm like, okay, I'm one of y'all, and this is what I'm doing. Oh, I may die before. Yeah, you may. Somebody 20 can die tomorrow, but that doesn't mean we stop. And I think what happened to me is because, see, I stopped. I was disillusioned with politics a long time ago. After that first Obama election, I just checked out, and then I saw reparations. If you just give them something to fight for, this is about me. This is about my home. I'm standing up for myself. If I got to stand on a cane, this is what I'm going to do. And so that to me, that's what and may not get everybody. And if you can get one, that's a win.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Um, Thank you everyone for coming tonight. I don't want to keep y'all too late. I got this little boy. I need to put him in the bed. But I want to say thank you. We are doing this conversation series about reparations so that we can encourage people to get involved. We need more men involved. As you can see, it's all women in this chat. Thank you, ladies, for holding it down. Per usual, it's nothing to us because that's what we do, but we do need more of our brothers involved. Thank you, Miss Carolyn. Please, everybody, click on Miss Carolyn's link. She's running for state assembly, and we really need her to be in that position. You know, we need you. We really need you, Miss
We
Carolyn.
need you. We need you. This is
So,
another thing.
uh,
Carolyn, I am
please
waiting
put
for the go.
yes.
Yes, I'm waiting. And if I could just add one more thing, I felt like, okay, I was in Sacramento, and this is actually piggybacking on what you asked me, Raphael. I spent so much time in Sacramento, so much time in the Bay Area. I neglected my area here in Fairfield. So what my plan is, I already have the name. I'm going to organize a senior citizen group called Silver Fox. That's a name of a song from Atlantic Star. I love that song. That is what I'm going to call it. But not, but I have to make sure that when they join, that it's just not, this is not a, what do you call that word? Uh, no, what word am I looking for? A social group. I'm not saying that we can't do anything social, but my idea for this group, for my seniors in this area, is get them involved, let them understand about the budget process, the bill process, what we're doing here for CJEC, reparations. So that is one of the goals that I plan on trying to get started at least in 2026. And also I want it to be intergenerational because we have seniors, but we have our young people coming up. The head must be able to take that baton and go forward in the right way. Understand what a bill means. Read it. Don't just listen. Don't even just listen to me. Go read it yourself, and then come back and ask me a question. No more sound bites.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, all
Can I
righty.
say something,
Please
Yasmin?
go ahead, honey. Go ahead.
You know that you bring, Darlene, I love you so much. You're so amazing. And Yasmin, you too as well. I thank you for this time to have a conversation about reparations. And I actually wanted to speak to the senior issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a senior myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I talk to a lot of seniors in my district, and what I do is I get their number or I get their email, and then I email them all the action items. So I'll give them one action item. So if you want to get seniors involved, you kind of have to like take them by the hand really and not give them too much and be too overwhelming. But I
Mm-hmm.
found that when I email them or text them, just the action, just to do the CJEC action items for saying no to SB 437 or another bill, that they'll click on that and they'll actually do it, and they'll get back to me and say, Miss Carolyn, I did send it. I did do as you asked me to do, and that's been working fine for me. I don't have a lot of giant conversations with them. It's a lot of listening, because they have a lot of stories to tell. And then when they ask me about myself, and I tell them, they say that's pretty amazing, and I would love to help. And I said, well, let me get your number, your email, and I'll send you information and go from there.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn, because I've never actually organized something like on my own, but I know that our seniors need to be a little bit more aware. And we're not discounting anybody's story because I think you and I talked about it one time because we got some stories to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So nobody's discounting it because like I was apolitical for so long, it was just I checked out, where some people, they, and this is not about the Democrats, but they just vote blue no matter who, because that's what they've been told to do without even really looking at what it is or championing certain bills, not really understanding what it's going to do for them, like SB 437. What we're pushing it back another 5 years. And then what's going to happen after that 5 years? Some more red tape.
Mm,
So this is what we cannot have. So I may come to
exactly.
you and ask you for some suggestions, Carol, on how to get my group started. Because
Absolutely. I'm here
yeah,
for you. You know that.
okay, okay. And like I said, I've neglected Fairfield. I mean, it's Sacramento Bay Area. There's nothing happening in Fairfield, even though
Mm,
Lori Wilson is CLBC, but she's kind of harmless. Um, She doesn't.
That's
She
cute.
doesn't. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, guys. So next week I have another conversation on October 5th. This is with Miss Nobantu Ankawanda. She is a longtime East Palo Altoan, and she lives in Georgia, and she is an alternate for the Decatur Reparations Task Force. So
Mm.
I really would like to have her on. I'm very excited. She is not a lineage-based reparationist. So we're gonna probably have it out about that. But she is a wealth of knowledge and an educator. She's an educator of my siblings. So I can't wait to hear her perspective and her coming from Georgia. So I will make sure get that out to y'all and share that with y'all. I definitely want you to attend. And then in a few weeks we're gonna have Brother Billion. Brother Billion is gonna be in the house talking about the work that he does. Which I love his work. He is one of the organizers from Africa Town out in Los Angeles. And I am on a mission to get more men and more youth involved in reparations here in the Bay Area. So I'm hoping that Brother Billion will inspire both of those groups to do that.
And real quick, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I wanted to say about the men. Yasmin did come with me, and she brought a couple of seniors when I presented a in service to some seniors in San Francisco. It was a women's group, and two men outside that were doing the cooking for the group or something. I don't even know if you was aware of this, Yasmin. I might have spoken to you about it later. They wanted to come in and sit and listen to the reparations piece. Do you know the facilitator would not let them come in? See, this is the thing that, I'm like, well, this is I mean, I couldn't really say anything. It wasn't my, I was a guest. But, as far as, getting men involved, how you want men to leave when you keeping them out the room? They don't want to hear the other stuff. Oh, reparations, she wouldn't even let them come in and listen.
Gosh, that is unfortunate. No, I did not
Unfortunate.
know anything about that. That
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
so bad. And
Mm.
then I will say that about Brother Billion too, is kind of dealing with ladies who kind of weaponize their position against men. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
it's a thing. It's
No, it's a thing. I want, call
I
me
don't
old
like
school.
it.
I'm good with a man leading. I'm good. I'm old school.
I do not
But
like
I'm
doing
old
extra
school and
work.
I'm
If I
good
could
with
find a
anybody
man
leading,
who
you
wanted to
know.
do EPA for reparations and lead that, he would be leading it, baby. Cause I be wanting to chill sometimes, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
no, I'm encouraging all men and young people. We got a lot of heavy lifting that need to be done.
Yes, there's always tomorrow. And I saw Carolyn, you said your last breath one time. I know I got all these stories real quick. I know you got to put your son down. I was speaking to a young brother, I don't know, 30-ish, uh, at a barber shop over here. I was talking to him, passing out the fries. And he says, do you think we're going to get it? I said, I'm going to tell you what, my last breath. Those are the exact words I saw you put in the chat, Carolyn. That's what I said to him, my last breath. I'm not only doing it for me. Do I want my check now? Yeah, I do. I deserve it. But I'm fighting for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And with that being said,
Amen.
amen, baby. Thank
Mm-hmm.
y'all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Everybody
Thank
have a great
you.
night. Have a great week.
You too. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Miss Brooke, are you still here? Are you awake? Oh no, I think you went to sleep.
No, I'm at work, so I'm balancing listening and
Are you? Okay,
yes,
wait, let me take this off.
yes, yes. So that's what's
Nice
going
to
on.
thank you